Hello, welcome to Dear Encourager. I am Vanessa Scott. I am one of your co founders of this wonderful organization. This will be a small introduction video just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I became a part of Dear Encourager. Dear Encourager was founded by my dear friend Keisha Nix. This was developed from just her journey with a chronic illness, chronic health condition. During these last few years that she's been on this journey, she's had a lot of difficult days, learning new things, how to live this new normal, see for her. And through the bumps and bruises and the mountains she's had to climb and the valleys she's had to endure, sometimes alone, this was developed. Dear Encourager was developed. Um, Having a chronic health condition can be overwhelming, it can be hard. And through that, she needed resources. She needed a space that is not out here the way that you would think, the way that you would hope, with so many people dealing with chronic illnesses. So, this is where this came from. This is how this was born through her heartache and pain and resilience. So, there's two sides of every coin. With a testimony, you have to have a test. And there's a lot of dark nights, there's a lot of dim days, but there's also a lot of sunshine and rainbows and beauty. And through this journey, she needed a caregiver. And those caregivers were her family members, whether it was her mother or her spouse. And that's where I come in. I was a caregiver for 7 years to my mother. I am a counselor by profession, but by duty, by God, by life, I have been a caregiver my whole life. I was my mother's sole caregiver. She had an accident. My mother was a RN, so there's a lot of parallels with her and Keisha's story. She was very independent. And when I had to start caring for her, it was very difficult for her. She went through a state of depression because my mother was 56, right before 56. So she was 55 when the accident occurred. So for almost 40 years, my mom had been independent and doing everything on her own. And for her baby girl to have to take care of her, that was something difficult for her. And not only for her, it was something that became difficult and challenging for me. I never hesitated, I never questioned being her caregiver, but I also never questioned everything that came with becoming a caregiver. There was a lot of lonely days because when you're in this by yourself. And what I mean that my brother was there. Um, so I'm not saying that I didn't have anyone to lean on or anything like that, but when you're in the dungeons day to day, it can become very lonely. It can become very overwhelming. It can become very tiring. And we deal with a lot of different emotions that come with being a caregiver. I had to now learn how to be um, my mother's main support system, where she had always been mine. So that was a new role for me, um, to care for my mother, to parent my mother at times, because like I said, she had been independent. So she wanted to do what she wanted to do, how she wanted to do. And it wasn't always what she needed to do. It wasn't always what the doctors wanted her or advised her to do. So that was difficult at time is me, and I was always my mama's baby girl. So for me to now have to parent my mother and tell her what to do and how she was going to do certain things was definitely a new avenue for me. And definitely something that was challenging at times. And of course, sometimes I gave in and I became that little girl again. And yes, mom, yes, ma'am, doing what she would want me to do. So that can be difficult for caregivers. But like I said, not always knowing what questions to ask, not even knowing what all entails being a caregiver. We just think that, oh, I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to do what I need to do. Well, there's a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that come with that. There's a financial responsibility that you may not be aware of. Then my mom did pass, and I never wanted to talk about um, the end. I never, because that was my mother. I was her baby girl. What? I'm dying? Yeah, I know other people die, but my mom's not dying. No. So I never had that discussion. My mom would talk about it and then I would blow her off because I didn't want to deal with it. So those are some things that we have to deal with, we have to talk about. And I was lucky. I was lucky in the sense that my mother still had all of her wits about her, all of her senses about her. So it never became a point where it was too difficult for me, where I had to start thinking about other alternatives. And that is a conversation, and that's a real reality for a lot of people, especially caregivers who have to deal with a family member who has dementia or Alzheimer or any other health condition that it becomes too overwhelming for them, or they need around the clock care and they just can't do it. And having that conversation and knowing that it's okay if you're not the one that can care for your loved one the way that they need to be cared for. That is loving your family member. That is caring for them in the best capacity that you can. So this is what this space is about. That is my role. I am your caregiver lead and support specialist. Um, and that is what my realm will be, um, helping you navigate through these different um, matters. Like I said, is it best that your loved one, your family member, is cared for in your home? Is it better for them to be in another facility? Is Are you able to do it financially? Um, are you struggling emotionally? Having those conversations about the end. Um, is all of that in line? Do you have a living will? Are you the power attorney, or who is, or what happens if your family member, loved one, becomes brain dead, or things like that? We a lot of times don't have that conversation, and we're not comfortable having those conversations. This is a space where we want to provide you resources for those type of things. We want to provide you respite service where you can take a break. We want to have support groups where we can come together and we can share our stories, because at times it is a lonely, lonely journey. Um, so that is what Dear Encourager is about. It's about caregivers and individuals who are living with chronic health conditions can have a platform, can have a space, a safe space where they can come, get information, learn how to be the best caregiver you can be. And that starts by taking care of yourself. So we can discuss and talk about how self-care is so important and how it's not selfish and how it's necessary. I hope that this video shares some light on what we want to support and provide you with in my area as a caregiver support lead. Please reach out, please contact us, and let's come together and create a space and an environment where we can grow and learn and feel supported together. Have a great day.